What's going on, everybody? Super Saiyan Paul here, back at it again. Today we got some more Dragon Ball Super information as well as discussions dealing with what is potentially going to be going down in the coming episodes, as well as the overview of Dragon Ball Super's brand new and final form, Mastered Ultra Instinct Goku. But before we get into the video, guys, smash that like button, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications to make sure you guys are updated on all upcoming discussions as to what's going to be going on with the Dragon Ball Super movie, as well as the future series when it comes out eventually, and things of that nature. Anyway, guys, what we're going to be talking about today is Dragon Ball Super's Mastered Ultra Instinct versus Dragon Ball GT's Super Saiyan 4. Now, guys, before we get into the video, I want you guys to comment down below with what your favorite form is and why. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is some of the quotes from Akira Toriyama and some of the things that have happened and things that could have really been swayed in different forms of like context and stuff like that. So I want to figure out here, what is the stronger form? Is it going to be Mastered Ultra Instinct or Super Saiyan 4? Now, if we looked at the way scaling worked back, if you count GT as canon, because even though it wasn't made by Akira Toriyama, they've still built things in a way where it still fits in the timeline, or even if it's a parallel universe. So if you scale things, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was the strongest character of all time, surpassing anything like that of the gods and all these things, surpassing absolutely everything. He was unquestionably the strongest character ever to have existed. That means he was stronger than every single god every single god form that Goku would put out and stuff like that nature. However, Akira really stirred things up here with the hype train for Mastered Ultra Instinct, because he claims this is the strongest Goku in history. Now, what a lot of people are saying here is that this is surpassing Super Saiyan 4, and with that being said, if it is the strongest Goku in history, that means that Super Saiyan 4 just doesn't cut it anymore and things of that nature. But there's another way of looking at that quote. Some people could have interpreted it as strongest Goku in history, meaning that if it's the series going in like a timeline perspective of Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, which is technically Dragon Ball 2. Now we have Dragon Ball Super, then there's Dragon Ball GT. Technically, if you look at it in that perspective, in the history of Dragon Ball, Mastered Ultra Instinct is before GT. Therefore, since it's the strongest Goku in history, it's therefore the strongest Goku up until that point in time, not counting GT. So tell me what you guys think right now in the comment section below. Do you think he meant strongest Goku ever to have ever existed, or do you mean up until this point in time in the show? Because it can be taken either way, and I know they want to hype this form up as much as possible, because as you guys have seen in the past week, we've seen nothing but the hype train. We've seen the DLC launching for Xenoverse 2, and it's been blowing up. It's crazy, the amount of fan art, the amount of merch, everything is being pushed for the hype of Dragon Ball Super's finale, which is Dragon Ball Super's final battle as well, with episode 129 being the start of it, episode 130 being the ending of the battle, and then episode 131 being the wrap-up of the entire series. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm going to give my own personal opinion here, guys, so make sure you guys take this with a grain of salt. It's my personal opinion, okay? Mastered Ultra Instinct, it looks badass. Mastered Ultra Instinct, it's a form of its own. It doesn't necessarily have anything to resemble like in terms of like a Super Saiyan transformation, in terms of the lore of being a Super Saiyan, because other people can attain it as well, such as gods. However, it literally is the concept of Super Saiyan White that was being saved from the Goku Black arc because it was going to clash with Zamasu's character design, because they knew that Merge Zamasu was going to have white hair. They did not want to give it to Goku at the time. This is what Akira Toriyama himself said in an interview back in the Resurrection F arc. He was going to say he wanted to give Goku white hair before the blue hair, but in the upcoming arc, it was going to clash in terms of the color scheming, so they saved it. Yes, they revamped it into something much newer, which was Ultra Instinct, and it's basically plot armor at its finest. And I love Ultra Instinct, don't get me wrong. I love every time it shows up on screen. I like how it changes the whole dynamic of fighting and all these different fluid movements and stuff like that. That Kamehameha that he launched on Kefla to finish her off was probably the best Kamehameha wave I've ever seen in my life, and probably the highlight of the form thus far at the time of this recording. However, there's just something about Super Saiyan 4 that I liked that was different. Even though he had black hair, it was the fur, the coloration of the Kamehameha changing, the whole process of him having to regrow the tail and then having to go through his little ritual into turning back into the Great Ape by looking into the moon and capturing those blood waves into his body. It's similar to how they were trying to hype up the Super Saiyan transformation for the younger Saiyans here in Dragon Ball Super, with them mastering their S cells and showing us how they had to focus and things like that. However, we didn't get that with Ultra Instinct. All we saw is that you have to drain yourself to the very maximum, and it's movement without thinking. And one of the reasons they said that Goku was able to obtain it before Vegeta is because Goku doesn't think as much, and they basically called him an idiot. That's one of the reasons, plus he was drained. So, with that being said, I still would say I kind of have a lot more respect in terms of the design. There's a place in my heart for Super Saiyan 4, and Mastered Ultra Instinct, in terms of like the physicality, I was getting used to the idea of just him having black hair and a fiery aura behind the blue aura. That would have really mastered the attack and defensive kind of hype around it, but now that they removed that, all I see is just white hair with the aura, the really cool aura. Don't mind me that, but in terms of design and like in like the way of unlocking it, they kind of downplayed that little hype train with the original picture, the original logo, for what they have now, and I feel like it was just too much of a transformation in too fast of a time, because literally in 20 minutes, not even Goku has mastered this form, and he just jumped back into it. So literally in a minute, he's going to master it in the third time. And it's kind of weird. I liked Super Saiyan 4 for the fact that you had to go through Golden Ape, and then he went on a little rampage. Then once Pan got stuck in his hands, and he was about to like crush her, and he had like an eye-to-eye with her, all of a sudden he reverts back into his adulted form. Because remember, he was a kid, then he became an adult. Did I like GT as a series? Hell no, but they did have some good concepts and ideas, and that's what I liked about it, especially that concept. Tell me if you guys agree with me, or am I just being like insane here? But I like that thing about Dragon Ball GT's form, and the uniqueness of how you unlocked SS4. That was very, very cool. With here, you're not having a ritual. I feel like in terms of like the fusion dance and stuff like that, that's more iconic than what they've unlocked here with Plot Armor Instinct, because with Plot Armor Instinct, it's too convenient for Goku. He's mastering a little bit too fast, but it is badass to see on the screen, and the fact that they renamed it and not called it Super Saiyan White, that's what I really admire about how they were able to market this, because I think Ultra Instinct in itself is probably the best marketing they could have done for the show. It's not Super Saiyan, it's something that other beings can obtain, and it's just not like wave after wave transformation, which in reality kind of is, but they really knew how to really spin the wheel on this one, and really how to switch it up so this way it didn't feel like it was getting old. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and this is why I would still say, if you wanted to continue the canonical way of power scaling, even though power scaling in Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super especially, and even GT, it makes no sense. I've been saying this for years, and people still try to debate this in the comments. There's no point in trying to scale power scalings after the Tournament of Power, because everything they've done here in the Tournament of Power basically said, I'm gonna shit all over it, and they basically just threw all the power scaling out the window. Don't believe me? 2 Super Saiyan girls just went past Super Saiyan and beyond, all the way to like God tier level. So in the time span of less than 40 minutes, these guys have become so powerful. The scaling went all over the place. It doesn't really make sense to take it too seriously, guys, so make sure you guys don't get too hyped in the comments. But if you wanted to count it in like order of the show, technically SS4 is supposed to be the end-all be-all, but Master Ultra Instinct, it's supposed to dodge everything. And if he's still calling it the strongest form in history, there's still a part of me, even though GT's not canon, if you still count it, because they haven't overwritten GT yet. The minute they overwrite it with whatever the new series is, that's when it will be definitively like non-existent, because that means they definitely are trying not to they're not trying to include it at all in the storyline. Even though what they've done here so far, they've built into it. Like, they've still kept the canonical, like the timeline flowing into GT without too many overlaps. The only thing that's missing is what they could change right now is if Goku unwishes the tournament, and like if Beerus and Whis just go away. Like, they didn't change that much with GT in terms of him just not ever using the form again, which is weird. But we don't know how Super's gonna end at this point in time. But tell me what you guys think. Do you think Mastered Ultra Instinct is stronger than Super Saiyan 4? Or do you think Super Saiyan 4 is stronger than Mastered Ultra Instinct? Also, tell me which one do you guys think is the better looking one. Aesthetically, I still say Mastered Ultra Instinct looks badass. I think I like the aura for Instinct more. In the DBZ video games, such as Budokai 3, SS4 had like an amazing aura. It was similar to the Super Saiyan Red / Super Saiyan God form, but in terms of design, there's just something more mature. Both of them are mature, and then the white hair in its own way is mature because it represents kind of a wisdom feeling and an older feeling for Goku, a much more serious thing. But the tone of the character as well with SS4 and all of those things really changed up. If I was to choose one or the other, I still have a soft spot for 4 right now. Once I see how Mastered Ultra Instinct works out, that's when I'll probably change my opinion. But right now, it's like, it's just way too convenient. Even though SS4 in its own right was convenient in its own way, it just wasn't as rushed. And there's something about that being like further down the timeline, if it is in a parallel universe or whatever, that it just commands more power. Because if you scale things according to the scale, Goku in Dragon Ball GT, which is why this still kind of makes sense, his base form in that first episode is the power level of Super Saiyan 3. So take that in mind. If that's how powerful he is in his base form, it still kind of adds up into all the things that have happened so far. So for him to have never used the form, yes, that's weird. However, that wasn't planned at the time. And with SS4 Gogeta being the end-all be-all character ever, if you are counting GT, regardless of the canonical thing, is Mastered Ultra Instinct really the strongest Goku in history, or are they just counting it as just the strongest form in history up until Super, not counting the future, where they're going to build onto things further? Because it's not technically the end-all be-all if you look at it in that perspective. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Smash that like button, subscribe, as well as turn on notifications. Super Saiyan Paul, and I'm signing out. Peace. Make sure you guys check out my hoodies. Young Money.